Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. This time around we are doing dragons and more dragons and more dragons. I'm basically categorizing or guiding you through every single dragon there is in Trove. So if you watched this video if you watched one of these videos before, the intro is going to be the same for each and every single video. I'm going to use the same one for each one so I can explain to the people that do click a random one and not just the first one that you know, this is the same, and kind of explaining how it goes. So if you've seen this intro, you can click ahead. In the description there is links to a bunch of stuff, but also to timestamps, so you can get to whatever dragon you are looking for if you just want to skip ahead. But if you haven't watched this intro, I suggest you do so. There's not going to be a lot of talking or a lot of entering into this, but there is a little bit explaining why I didn't put all the dragons into the same video. It's because that over time Trove introduces new dragons, and those dragons, if I make one big video, I can't put all those, so I have to make a different one. So I decided that I wanted to do at least 3 dragons in a video, maybe more, up to like 7 or something, like some that made sense to put together. So some of the videos are a little bit longer than others, some are a little bit shorter, but they are categorizing all of them. So when they introduce new dragons, as they did not too recently, they introduced 3 new dragons. Those 3 new dragons, you know, is just gonna end up in the playlist that is on the channel. So it's just, you know, go through all of them as it is. It is says in the title which ones is what, and also in the description, of course, so you can kind of figure out which dragons you are looking for. So that's basically the intro. So there's not really much more to say. That was just explaining why I did it like I did it, and not in one big video, as that there's a lot of dragons out there. And yeah, so that was the intro. Now we can start going into the dragons. Enjoy. Alright, so we got this time around, we got the Void Dragon, and this is a little bit of a two-parter because there's a special way you are going to obtain this through shadow caches. And keep in mind that when you open shadow caches, any shadow caches, there's not a bigger chance of you obtaining more dragon fragments on a Friday. So usually Friday, you know, you get extra fragments, as you can see, finding dragon fragments, but it does not work on opening shadow caches. So it doesn't, with all things you open, it doesn't matter if you do it on a Friday or you do any else days, and that is. So I'm going to show you first how you're going to craft it, what you need for it, and then I'm going to show you how you're going to craft those shadow caches, where you're going to get your fragments. So first, as you can see, what in here, this is where you're going to get the dragon. Of course, you're going to get a dragon. You use dragon coins to craft a dragon. Then you are going to get use flux, of course, and then you're going to use Heart of Darkness, and these can be bought on the marketplace, but you can also get them in those shadow caches, as we talked about. We're going to show you guys in a little bit. Then you got Somber Souls, and you got the Void Fragments, of course, which is from the shadow caches. But the Somber Souls, you can find these in the Cursed Valley biomes. I can show you right here, Cursed Valley right here, but it's also on different parts of the place here. They're just random. They're not very keen to be around other ores, but you can be, but they can also be on like by themselves, and they just look like this little skull thing on the ground, and you're gonna see them pretty quickly. But in those, but you can also, of course, buy them. You can also buy them on the marketplace, and the same thing with, of course, the Heart of Darkness, as I said before. You only need 4 of them, so it's not too much. But let's jump over to the Shadow Tower lobby. So now we are in the Shadow Tower lobby, and you're gonna find it if you open up your atlas. It's right over here, the big scary tower right here. You can see this is the whole map, and here you can see it's right over here. I just wanted to make sure that you guys could see it on the map and not from my big face. But you want to find the shadowy market. This is where it is. There's also a trading post. There's some stuff here, but we want to go into the shadowy market. And the first thing here you are going to get, or you can craft these shadow caches. You can also buy these shadow caches on the marketplace, but they're pretty expensive. And there's like a really low chance of getting these void fragments, but you craft them with the shadow shards, and shadow shards, of course, you get in randomly in delves. There are little small, they look just like these all around in the corridors. When you go through, you're gonna find these. You can also use your vacuum module, if you have that one, to suck in more shadow shards, or you can buy the shadow shards on the market and then craft the shadow caches. And then when you open these, you have a chance of getting these void fragments, but also the Heart of Darkness. But the Heart of Darkness you can then buy on the, if you don't get enough, if you're really lucky and getting all the fragments, you should get more Heart of Darkness than you should get void fragments, except it's random when you're gonna get something in these chests, so you can end up getting more you know, shadow fragments, or not, sorry, shadow fragments, but void fragments than the Heart of Darkness. So, but then you can just buy the Heart of Darkness, because you cannot buy the void fragments on there. They are not tradable. So that's basically it. You just open your shadow cache until you have 50 fragments. Then you go ahead and craft the dragon in this, as I showed you guys. So this was the void dragon, and we can move on to the next dragon. All right, so the Lunar Dragon is this one right here, and we are in the Shadow Tower lobby once again, and you find the Shadow Tower lobby right over here on the map. As you can see, it's right here. You just open your atlas, you go here, you enter, and you're gonna find yourself the Shadowy Market. And you open up that, and you go down on the Lunar Souls. Sorry, no, Dispel Divinities, that's what I mean. Dispel Divinities, this is also where you can make all the costumes. I suggest you do all the costumes first, but that's just a side note. But in here, you have the Moon Silver Egg fragments, and these called Despoil Divinity 1, Despoil Divinity to to each fragment. And Despoil Divinities, of course, you get these from the Shadowy Soul Vaults, along with Titan Souls of Lunar, as it says. You can get up to 5 per week. And the way it works is that you do delves, you go through the delve at least 3 floors, and at the 3rd floor you will see a Shadowy Soul Vault that has to open up with a delve key. And of course, you'll find fragments for that all over the place. And you craft those keys, and you get in there, and you get these divinities, and you craft these into them. And you need 50 of them to get yourself this. So it's going to take you 10 weeks to get the, because you can only craft, or you can only get 5 Despoiled Divinities a week, and then it's going to get you 50 fragments to do so. I'll show you what the rest of the materials are in a little bit, but this is how you do it. You just go through Delve, you get your Despoiled Divinities when you open your Shadowy Soul Vaults, and then you just craft the 50 ones when you do have them. So with that said, let's jump back into the hub. Alright, we are now back in the hub, and I can show you guys how you are going to craft it right over at the Dragon Crucible. You go down to Fragment Dragons and you find it right here. So as I said, it costs you 50 of the Moon Silver Dragon Fragment. That's the one we covered just before. It's going to cost you Dragon Coins as we are used to. Then it costs you some Flux, and it's just going to cost you Glim. And Glim is just another resource like Flux. You can of course also obtain Glim on the marketplace if you want to do so, but it's just anywhere you can find this Glim. It's, as you can see, by as you see, right, obtained by loot collecting fish, breaking plants and stuff like that. It all is pretty easy to get some Glim, and not some very inexpensive. So, but the time consuming is the Moon Silver fragments. So that was this dragon, and we can now move on to the next one. Alright, so for this next dragon, it's the Kami Dragon, as I call it, and you can get fragments in the delve as well. That's why it's in this video right here, but you can also get the fragments from anywhere that there is Neon City biome, or the equivalent to that. Like all robotic enemies can drop this here, or fragments for this one, but I tend to get most of the fragments in the delve while I'm doing the delve, especially from the end bosses and stuff like that. But if you go to the Dragon Crucible, it's right under here. It's the first dragon there here. Of course, you are going to use your Dragon Coins and Flux, as we usually know about, and then you got Robotic Salvage. This can of course be obtained also on the marketplace if you want to do so, or you can again find it while you are farming for these Kami Dragon or Kami Dragon fragments. You can get a Robotic Salvage, but like, yeah, you can get it on the marketplace as well if you want to. The same thing I covered. Heart of Darknesses, you get them in shadow caches. I covered them in the last segment, so if you want to go back and see that one, I can just quickly explain one more time if you're really looking for this one. Shadow caches, you can craft those, or you can get them on the marketplace, same with shadow shards, but you go to the You go to the shadowy lobby, in the Shadow Towers lobby here, you find the shadowy market. In there, you can craft shadow caches from the shadow shards, and shadow shards, of course, you get those in Delve. So while you're also farming Delve, you can also farm shadow shards and get some of these. But the Heart of Darkness can also be purchased on the marketplace if you just want to skip all that. But basically, you open the shadow cache, there's a chance of getting a Heart of Darkness, and you need 2 of them. I would suggest, if you have the Kami fragments and stuff like that, I would suggest you go in and just buying them if this is what you miss, because they're not that expensive, just 2 of them. They are fairly common. Or kind of uncommon, I guess, more like the Heart of Darkness. So they're not super rare in the shadow caches, but they can be pretty expensive, the shadow caches. So maybe it's better to sell them. But you know, these can be purchased off the marketplace anyway if you want to do so. And then like I said, the Kami fragments, as you can see, they're obtained rarely from robots. So that's why I said Neon City Bomb. Anything that's basically a robot has a chance to dropping these here Kami fragments. But like I said, I tend to get most of them in the Delve, and that's kind of why this dragon is in the pile with the other Delve dragons, if you can call it like that in this sense. So this was the Kami fragment dragon, and there's really not much more to say than be done with this, or done with this dragon, and done with all of this dragons in this here video. So see you in the next one.